Welcome to The Explainer, everyone. Today, we're unpacking a genuinely fascinating and incredibly profound historical text. We are diving deep into what really might be one of the greatest political and religious mysteries of the early Islamic era. We're going to be looking closely at this source's analysis of shifting power dynamics, the really dangerous art of historical fabrication, and ultimately, a stunning story of pure sacrifice. So let's just jump right in and unpack the claims and arguments of this text to truly understand how history was engineered here.
Right off the bat, our source text hooks us by presenting this massive, glaring historical contradiction. I mean, think about it. According to the text we're analyzing, how on earth is it possible that the banner of a completely new faith fell directly into the hands of a clan, the Umayyads, who had literally spent decades as its most bitter sword-wielding enemies? The source argues this wasn't just some random political shift. No, it was the starting point for a series of immense, dark historical tragedies. To understand how they actually pulled this off, we have to break down their strategy.
Okay, let's dive into phase one of the Umayyad strategy, engineering a deviation.
Let's map out exactly how this builds over time. The source details a very deliberate consolidation of power. First off, you have 21 to 23 years of just absolute fierce enmity against the Prophet. But then, inexplicably, these former enemies are brought right into the fold. The appointment of Yazid ibn Abi Sufyan, and then subsequently his brother Muawiyah, to govern Sham, the Levant, handed them this tremendously wealthy, powerful base. And Muawiyah sits in this position for 20 long years. He's quietly building an empire within an empire, establishing this sprawling, deeply entrenched, and very dark foundation.
But here's the million-dollar question. How do you justify your rule when your own family's history is aggressively anti-Islamic? Well, the source introduces this really brilliant political concept called proxy legitimacy building. The Umayyads tied their right to rule entirely to the earlier rulers who had appointed them. Basically, if the authority of those earlier caliphs was questioned, Muawiyah's own position would just instantly crumble. So their super passionate defense of previous rulers, it wasn't born out of genuine religious conviction at all. It was just a matter of absolute, cold-blooded political survival.
So, once you have that proxy legitimacy, you have to enforce it. That brings us to phase two, the propaganda machine.
And let me tell you, this machine was fueled by just staggering amounts of wealth. Take this for example, a payout of 400,000 gold coins to a guy named Samura ibn Jundab. What exactly was that buying? Consciences and fabricated narrations. The text shows how the Umayyads literally paid off individuals to invent false religious rulings and completely twist interpretations of texts. They even paid to claim that verses condemning disbelievers were actually aimed at their pure political rivals. Just unbelievable deceit.
This state-sponsored fabrication reached levels that are, frankly, kind of absurd. There's this authentic, widely recognized and radiant saying of the Prophet stating that his grandsons, Hassan and Hussein, are the leaders of the youths of paradise. To counter this, the dark Umayyad propaganda machine invented a phrase claiming their preferred predecessors were the leaders of the elders of paradise. The historical analysis points out the utter logical flaw here, right? In a paradise where everyone is youthful and vibrant, the whole concept of elders doesn't even make any sense. It was just a clumsy, desperate attempt to manufacture virtue out of thin air.
But, this fabricated logic didn't go completely unchallenged. It was brilliantly dismantled by Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali. He stated, very clearly, "O Muawiyah, the same Muhajirin and Ansar who pledged allegiance to others have also pledged allegiance to me. So why do you fight and rebel?" See what he did there? Ali took Muawiyah's entire proxy legitimacy argument, the whole idea that consensus creates authority, and just turned it directly against him. By Muawiyah's own stated logic, his rebellion was entirely illegal. It placed the Umayyad ruler in a massive political dead end.
Having completely failed to win the logical argument, they resorted to rewriting their own family tree. Let's look at phase three, authenticity versus fabrication.
The text drops a massive historical bombshell right here. To make their rule look like a natural hereditary succession from the Prophet, the Umayyads actually claimed to be his cousins. But the source asserts this was a complete fabrication. Umayyah, the literal forefather of the clan, was actually a freed Roman slave who was merely adopted into the tribe. What does that mean? It means there was absolutely zero blood relation between the Umayyads and the Prophet's pure family, the Banu Hashim. The entire foundation of their dynastic claim was just a dark, carefully constructed lie.
And the ultimate, devastating answer to this lie, it wasn't delivered in some quiet debate hall.
It was delivered on the battlefield of Ashura by Imam Hussein's son, Ali al-Akbar. As he entered the fight, he recited a battle cry that basically served as a profound political manifesto. He called out, "I am Ali, the son of Hussein. By the house of God, we are closer and more worthy of the Prophet." By explicitly tracing his direct, luminous lineage and stating their undeniable proximity, Ali al-Akbar drew a sharp, undeniable line of cancellation straight through every single false Umayyad claim of kinship.
Now, to really grasp the next piece of Umayyad propaganda, we have to look at the cultural backdrop of the Arabian Peninsula. In this society, two concepts totally dominated your social standing. First, sahawat, or generosity, which was the absolute highest virtue. And on the flip side, hasawat, or miserliness, which was the deepest, ugliest disgrace. The historical irony the text highlights here is that the Umayyad clan, particularly Abu Sufyan, were notoriously, exceptionally miserly despite having massive wealth. It was a really dark stain on their social reputation.
So, what's fascinating is how Muawiyah attempted to wipe away this ugly stain of miserliness. He tried two things. First, he just threw money at the problem. But get this, he used the public treasury, not his own personal wealth, to buy a fake reputation of generosity. But his wickedest PR spin actually involved Ali al-Akbar. When Muawiyah was asked who was most worthy of ruling, he surprisingly named Ali al-Akbar. But he specifically cited his bravery and his quote-unquote Umayyad generosity from his maternal side. Do you see the sheer deception there? He was trying to steal Ali al-Akbar's pure, inherent virtue and literally staple it onto the dark, deceitful reputation of his own clan.
And this cunning manipulation perfectly sets up this incredibly profound quote from Imam Sadiq. "Do not hear our virtues from the tongues of our enemies." It's so true, isn't it? When an enemy praises you, it is never out of genuine respect. It's always a calculated move, always accompanied by distortion and a hidden dark agenda. Exactly like how Muawiyah tried to hijack Ali al-Akbar's pure, luminous reputation for his own gain. Okay, so if handing out stolen public money isn't real generosity, then what is? That brings us to our final and most powerful point, the ultimate sacrifice.
The text introduces us to this beautiful, radiant concept called Jude. Now, Jude isn't about writing a check. It is defined as boundless selflessness. It's the willingness to give up your absolute most precious, irreplaceable possession, your very life, in the pursuit of truth. So while the Umayyads tried to literally buy the title of generosity with gold, the pure Ahlul Bayt defined it through ultimate, total sacrifice.
To illustrate this peak of Jude, the text shares this incredibly heavy historical narrative from the journey to Karbala. They are at a halting station named Zubala, and Imam Hussein falls asleep. He dreams of a heavenly herald delivering a prophetic, terrifying message. This caravan is moving toward death. Waking up from this, the Imam turns and shares this absolute certainty of their impending doom with the fruit of his heart, his son Ali al-Akbar. Now listen to how Ali al-Akbar reacts to this news. It is breathtaking. He doesn't panic. He doesn't ask why they have to die or start looking for an escape route. Instead, surrounded by the radiant certainty of his faith, he asks only one single foundational question. "O Father, are we not upon the truth?" Think about the weight of that. That question acts as the absolute bedrock of both religion and the world. And upon hearing his father confirm that they are indeed upon the truth, Ali al-Akbar delivers this literal history-making phrase. He says, "Then, so long as we are upon the truth, we do not care whether we enter upon death or death comes upon us." This precise moment, this is it. This represents the absolute, breathtaking peak of Jude. It's a level of pure, luminous sacrifice that just utterly invalidates all those cheap, fabricated virtues the Umayyads spent millions trying to invent. And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate contrast presented in the text. Look at the two sides. On one hand, you have an empire built on proxy legitimacy, a fabricated lineage, and a totally dark, false reputation bought with stolen public wealth. But on the other hand, you have the pure, radiant authenticity of the Ahlul Bayt. Their authority was divine, their lineage was pure, and their truth was bought with the absolute ultimate currency, their own lives. So, as we wrap up our analysis today, the source leaves us with this really provocative thought to reflect on. Looking back through the centuries, through all the propaganda, the dark money, and the political maneuvering, which legacy actually survived? Was it the massive wealthy empire of the Umayyads, or was it the eternal, shining truth established at Karbala? The text makes its answer incredibly clear. But honestly, it's a question that challenges all of us about what we truly value today. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. Keep asking questions, keep looking past the surface, and I'll see you on the next explainer.